السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته إخوة الكرام.
Assalamu alaikum, Sibeful.
My name is Saffie Lowe. I'm the Gambian Ambassador to the Kingdom of Morocco.
Kuku GASAM.
Assalamu alaikum, Bokisiran Kati.
Hi, this is Mamadou Sabali introducing to you
the GASAM Special Bantaba. Well, you'll be wondering there, what is GASAM Special Bantaba? It's a new project that is aimed at having a special talk show with very prominent Gambians, prominent African leaders that are all over the world. They have to share us with their stories, important things, interesting stories, success stories.
Program non ko fi walita go lady amedi no yara yeso fi menen kadi pe student ji wonbe ga Morocco no me wata walitrade lady amedi Gambia yara yeso.
GASAM Bantaba الذي سيكون في كل نهاية شهر مع أناس لهم خبرة في جميع فنون الحياة لتكون مثقفا. شارك معنا في كل نهاية شهر.
Inga sam special bantaba be molle fele na muyano ke banna society kono londe andum ya hakilo yurwata andum fana ya kullum muyano ko folma man na society kono muyano ko kumata bake andu wolbe baka chalaje.
Un nouveau projet intitulé le Bantaba, ça sera chaque premier dimanche du mois sur notre page Facebook.
Xamne waxtaan la bo xamne dañoo invite borom na batankay ñi ñëw tok ñu waxtaan ci démé né ñoo jëmele Gambia ci kanam ni ñoo dimbale Africa pour ñu ag ci benen level.
GASAM believes that if Gambia su wara dem ci kanam ñun yëpp ñu wara ñu ku nekk TFR ñu pousse Gambia yëpp ko ci kanam, and we can only do that if we are inspired enough.
I am encouraging you to join this platform, like their page on Facebook, because I'll be one of their panelists and I'll be there supporting them.
I'm therefore urging every one of you not to miss it. Be a part of it.
Please go to our Facebook page, like GASAM, Gambian Students Association in Morocco, like our page. Wait for us to go live. Throw in your questions, comments, everything, and we shall deal with them.
تفقد هذا البرنامج فتفقد شيئا عظيما.
Woto iba dunia daoda dem GASAM ti be mangi GASAM bang akata nim program kanida katum fen jama le ba discourse la je mul ba kacala je andu yoku mala ba
moy wër bu dé la ñoo am panel kon bu leen ko mboté.
S'il vous plaît, ne le ratez pas.
Hello viewers, I am Salifu Sonko, the Public Liaison Officer of the Gambian Students Association in Morocco. And here we are today in the Gambian Embassy here in Rabat. We'll be having the first interview with Her Excellency Saffie Lowe, Ceesay, the Ambassador of the Gambia to the Kingdom of Morocco. So please relax and enjoy. We'll be going upstairs to have this interview with the Ambassador. We'll be taking a short break from now. Thank you. Welcome back, wonderful audience. Today we are in the Ambassador's office, as I mentioned earlier on. I am your host, Salifu Sonko, and this is my co-host,
Habib Jagne.
and today our special guest is Her Excellency Saffie Lowe.
Thank you very much for having me. It's my pleasure.
So, moving on, we're going to talk about your biography briefly. So, who is Saffie Lowe, if one is to ask? And where does Saffie Lowe start from?
Wow, Saffie Lowe is a Gambian. My both parents are Gambian. I was born in Banjul, and I grew up in Bakau. I grew up in a big extended family where education was a main pillar that my dad really pushed us towards. Because if you remember, not very long ago, maybe some 70 or more years, education in Banjul was wholly and solely done by Christians. They were the ones that were privileged to go to school, high school, university. Maybe because then they had the money or they knew the value of education. It was later on that some of the Wolof started sending their kids to school. Fortunately for my dad, he was one of two boys, all the other siblings were girls. The mom was a petty trader. We used to take things to up country during the rainy season and bring things from there and sell. And through that, she was able to educate him. And I guess that gave him the what he needed to know, the importance of education, and he valued it. My dad encouraged us at all times to study and would tell us, make your books your friends. When you grow up, you know why your books have to, because you don't need any friend now besides your books. And the ones that were doing very well were always his friend. So he was happy when you have good results and everything. So he went to Mohammedan Primary School, then Boys High School, and then worked for Customs. That's after Customs he worked for GPMB. That's where he retired. So me and my siblings, we went to Methodist Preparatory Kindergarten. That's MPK. So we did our primary school there. When I went to primary 6, I was short of a mark to go to high school. Then my dad said he wouldn't go to anybody to plead for them to take me because I was short of a mark, because he feels that he paid his school fees just like his other colleagues. So why should he go and plead for his child to be given a chance? So whatever you get, you have to work for it. So this is why he was urging us to be serious with our books. So I left, I didn't repeat in the Methodist prep. I went to school in Pajuf. That's St. Augustine Junior Secondary School. And the principal then, I didn't know, it was like a younger brother to my dad because they lived very close. My dad's compound was in Gloucester and they lived in Lancaster. So my dad used to give him extra classes. So he took an interest in me because he knows the name Lowe. So he didn't tell me anything until it was time for the comment. I said, I've put in your name, so you're going to take the entrance. So I said, okay. I didn't tell my mom, I didn't tell my dad. I took the exam and I passed. Went and told my dad, he said, what exam, what have you passed? And I told him, so he went with me to Pajuf, and as he said, yes, passed. That's how I went to Gambia High School. And my brother then came up with, so we were all in the same batch. So we went to high school together, and we did up to 6th form. He was lucky because he was good in football and he was good in academics. So there was this guy, a Gambian that lived in America. Something fine. What's the name? So they call him Coach Fai. So he was annually given a scholarship to break on board. The students that qualified had to be good in sports. So it was my brother and his friend, something sad, we call him Soch and Soch. They had that scholarship and so I didn't go because I didn't have a scholarship, even though I was applying, but it wasn't successful. So I went and worked at the GNIC. I was an insurance agent for 1 year, and I left and worked for another insurance company, a broking company owned by Mr. called Odin's Insurance. So that's where I worked until this university extension program came on. It was my brother's friend and Captain Edward Sinate who encouraged me because I called him and said I wanted to work for the government. He said, can you just wait because we have something that is going on. I let you go to that program, it will be better for you. So that's how I started. When it came, I applied and we started the program. We were the first batch that did the program. And fortunately we had very good lecturers and we had the pleasure of going to university home, not having to go like you are hustling here sometime before your stipend comes. It's difficult. You know, there you finish from school, we go home and eat. So we have that, you know. So basically, when I see people saying that they have to go out in order to get an education, it doesn't really have to be that. And when you go out, you have to make use of it. Some people I've seen people that went out to study and never to return home. Never to return home. If we are all to run away, who will fix our country? Who will fix our country? So this is how I started until we graduated. Even when we were graduating, you know, with all my programs, with all my degrees, I never attended a graduation ceremony.
Really interesting.
Interesting. Never. The first one, when I was graduating, I was in London. The second one, I left I left London and went home because I missed my kids. I had kids, so I had to go back home. So that's it. So that's how when I came, I applied the government, and I was appointed cadet admin officer and posted to PMO where I was. When I was at PMO, I think I knew the whole of the civil service.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I knew the whole of the civil service. If I don't know you facially, I know your name. Because I knew the appointments, I knew the postings, I knew everything. So I rose through that from cadet. I was admitted. I started in 1999. 2003, I did my masters, and I came back home. I was promoted as principal, then posted to Minister of Health. 1 year, 2 years, I was taken back to PMO, PMO then to education, promoted as deputy permanent secretary, back to PMO, where I was until I was promoted to permanent secretary, Minister of Health, until I was made minister after the second election we had. So this is in short how I climb up the ladder.
Wow, really
Interesting background. Very rich. So you know, I'm inspired by the Form 6 you were saying, the one mark that the late her, you know, like the father inspired me. I think that is to say that you have to, how to call it, get what you, before you move further, means you have to validate, like you have to validate your own marks instead of you just being pushing. And I think that that's such inspiration that we also need to take. And if you, even when we become parents, that it's not about our, sometimes our children,
influence.
Yeah, let them go. We just push them without them understanding. That was the next step. So, Excellency, after completing your forms, and there was an extension program. How was it? Was it a big challenge, for instance, to pursue outside or abroad, or you were just let me get an experience and then wait for the extension program?
Yeah, like you're saying, what would I have done if there was not the extension program?
Yeah, or for instance, upon completion, there was no extension. So for
when I
instance,
completed high school.
High school, yes. So were you trying to look for scholarships outside or?
Yes, I tried to look for scholarship, especially in England. You know, but it's not easy. So instead of just waiting at home doing nothing, let me engage myself. When you go and come, anything can happen to you then, you know. So whilst you're working, you could also be pursuing other things that might be
obviously
that will help you get to where you finally want to be.
That even brought the question here. Let's try to put things clear. Like for us here in Morocco, we are in student association. We have a lot of students that will complete their degree and will all of us say, well, I have to go and learn more, or I need to do this more. What? Because looking at you right now, you just finished your opposites and you went in, get some experience. That also counted when you were looking for a job also. But you have to say, well, she works here, let her go for masters. Experience also is there, and that really helps you to get where you are, to get to where you want to actually. So what would you advise? Like, because normally people will have their bachelor's degree, but I have to go for masters, I have to go for PhD, or even more, want to learn without actually getting more experience. What would you recommend in that?
Well, personally, and the experience that I had from that, because when I completed my first degree and I went to work for government, I worked for like 99 to 2003 for my masters. At least that will ground you better. You then focus on what you want to do based on what you're working. Because you cannot just go like now you finish your first degree and just you go straight and do your masters. When you come back, most likely you will be lost. What am I going to do? Especially if it's not a skill job that you're doing. If it's just a general thing that you're doing, it becomes difficult to focus on what you need to do. When you work a little bit, then you know, okay, this is an area that I want to explore, I want to really educate. Exactly. So because now everything, almost everything that is pushing the world, that is changing the world, is like skills.
Yes, of course.
Skills which we lack. For example, we have a lot of doctors, but we have just general practitioners, no specialty. You have a doctor maybe who specializes anesthesia, a doctor maybe who's a pediatrician. It takes time to do that. So in other disciplines, maybe they are straightforward. When you're an architect, you're an architect. But then you also need from time to time to improve because architecture is moving. Things are changing, you know. So you have to move along with time to be able to be best at what you do. So I will if people listen to me, you will have a little bit of experience, then that will guide you as to what you really need to focus. And then you also have career counseling if you don't have that. Career counseling. You talk to
we actually covered that. We have
exactly.
something like that.
Exactly.
So the other thing we have here is, what was your biggest motivation? That you are like from high school to working, university, again working, university again, then later move on deputy permanent secretary, minister. What motivates you all along? Because we know like things are not really easy back home. Going to school, especially as a female child, is sometimes a bit difficult for you based on household choice and all of that. But you were able to maneuver all the situation. You were able to maneuver through the situation and get to where you actually want to. Today you are an ambassador representing our country here in the Kingdom of Morocco. What's your motivation all along?
Well, all along, I believed in myself, and I had a father who didn't stop at anything to educate us by talking to us, going out with us. And my father was open-minded. If you don't know him, you say he's a difficult person. But once you sit down with him, he's a nice guy, very open-minded. I'll give you a story. In Form 3, we had this Mauritanian, Narigana. He had a shop near my house. Because when we lived in Baka, it was a very secluded area, very quiet area. Not many people lived there. So this Narigana had a Gambian wife. But before he had that wife, my mom used to give him food. So when he married this Gambian wife, they spent some time in Mauritania and then come back. So this time the wife, and they started having kids, 2 kids they were in Mauritania. So the man was going back for a break. Then he said he wanted to take me with him. We're not going by plane, we're going by land, and he spent days. So he said he's going to take me, and my dad said, do you want to go? I said yes. I was always curious, I want to know. So I said yes. I was in Form 3. My auntie, my dad's younger sister, who I was named after, cried and said, no, why should we let her go with a Narigana? These are bad people, and they spend the night, anything can happen. My dad said, let her go. If she's a fool, I know. If she wants herself, loves herself, I know. This is one way of educating somebody. Let her go. Then I went with the Narigana, and we went. We spent the first night in Tambakuna. In Tambakuna, he found a place for me to sleep, and then he slept in the car. The following morning, we continued the journey. We spent 3 days in home. So by the time I came back home, I was able to tell my dad the places that I've been to, the names and everything. This is why I wanted you to go. Then you know. If you didn't go, you wouldn't know. You have to be open-minded, know what you want and work towards that. So I think basically this was my motivation. And then I also had a mom who was very, very strong, but her family, whatever happens, came first for her. And she went through some difficult times that I know she wasn't as educated as my dad. And I know if she were educated, what she was going through wouldn't happen. So that was a motivating factor for me. I will not depend on anybody. I will not. I will depend on myself, even if I have $1 million husband, whatever he give me, I value what I have for myself more. So basically for me, a relationship is based on respect and trust. So I don't want to be independent. So I strive and do my best to be my own person. So that's a source of motivation for me. I just work with that.
Discrimination in the educational system. When I say discrimination, it covers a wide range of things, from private schools, government schools, the deaf, the blind, the dumb. All these are people that we have to consider in our society. Because I have one philosopher has rightly mentioned that the minority is meant to, the minority should be protected by the majority. But those people are little in the society, but these are people that we tend to neglect. And most of the time, even scholarship when you're giving, hardly you see them being part of those scholarship packages. So what would you advise on that, or what would you recommend as to see what should be the way out of the situation as far as education is concerned?
No, thank you very much. That's a very sensitive question. And I've had opportunities as a minister. We even passed a bill to Parliament for inclusion of this category of people. I wouldn't call it discrimination. It's just poor planning. That is the basis, poor planning. Because you have school for the deaf, you have school for the blind, and apart from those areas, anywhere else these people want to go, it's a problem. If you cannot walk, you cannot go up the stairs. There's no ramp. There's no provision in place for these people. So I think it's not much of discrimination than neglect. So I think the best way to address something like that is to make it known that any building, public building, should take into consideration this category of people that are not able-bodied like us, so that we make provision for a ramp that could accommodate their easy, And if sometimes you see a qualified person, I've seen that, qualified person, but because he was badly disfigured, if you appoint somebody like that, him going up and down is a problem, because it's just staircases and wheelchair cannot come up. You cannot be carrying the person in and out. So you don't take them. You don't take them. It's ugly, it's bad, but the situation is we need to address their plight, make sure that there's enough provision to cater to their needs. I remember when I was at health, there was this gentleman, he passed away, was also my classmate at the UAP. Very intelligent. He was a health economist. He passed away. But the way he walks, it's like he doesn't have balance. But because of the skill that he has, he was very intelligent. He was appointed. But when he went on track, he sick all the way through. Eventually, he couldn't make it. He died. But I wouldn't really call it discrimination. I would say it's negligence that needs to be addressed. And if you talk about private school, public school, it's a matter of being able to pay for your tuition fees private school. Not many people can afford that. And then there is this need, if you go to private school, it's better than public school. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I believe all we need is good teachers and willing students that are willing to learn. But if you say, I'm going to private school because they teach better, no. Will they teach better? Are you going to learn better?
That's the point.
That's the point. It depends on the individual. So definitely, these are issues that they are sensitive because the people that are affected are in the minority and very poor people for that matter. They don't have any means of survival. So we really need to address that, to give them also equal opportunity.
So I think that was very important, especially the discrimination part. So the discrimination part, I think we have to put them to understand. It's not about the discrimination, it's about the poor planning as she lamented. That is basically important. So the other thing is about the school segment of segregation. As I said, it's the will of the student. So it means that the schooling doesn't matter if private or government. It's how they are able to learn, and obviously you will better.
You know, at education they used to give scholarship for needy students, primary level, high school. But then if you're in high school, you go maybe to a private school, they will not give you. Because if you put your kid in a private school, it means you can pay. So they will never give you to pay that. So they give it to those that are in the public schools to make use of those areas. And it helped. A lot of people benefited from that.
So thank you for that. It really touched me when you talk about that young man who passed away and what he has gone through. It's negligence 100%. Okay, we move on to the other question. The other question here we have is like, we will have to understand one thing about education. That is, you've mentioned something at the beginning. That is, you have a trip from training, which actually serves as a learning point for you because you're able to know the locality, you navigate, and you're able to explore. Okay, people tend to have the belief that education only stops at the forefront of the classroom. It's go way beyond that. It goes, as you mentioned earlier on too, about somebody who it's not formal education, not primary, nursery, high school. Just about you educating yourself, and you become there, and like you actually there, you educated. You understand? So where do you think those people are neglected? Those people who have that kind of education, that well they have not been through the formal education, perhaps they don't have the opportunity to because we're talking about discrimination now, and community negligence. Are this group of people also neglected? They are also in our societies. You see that they are educated, but not actually going through the formal way of education, but they are also educated.
You mean those that are not in the structured education?
Yeah, in the structured education.
They have not enrolled in schools.
In schools, actually.
Yeah, we have a lot of them.
Yeah. Do you think they are neglected? Oh,
yes.
And if they are neglected, what do you think could be done for people coming up, for us to pick up from there and know actually this is the roadmap for us to follow and actually get our country to where we really want it to?
Yeah, because definitely it's the onus on every parent to take care of the kids. Once you have kids, they are your responsibility until the day they die. For the white men, they say until you are 18 of age. But for us, it's different. No matter how old your kid is, he's still your kid. And no matter how weak you are, you always try to find ways to help. So now, if they say going to school was a privilege, now it's mandatory. It's a right for every person to go to school. You have to make sure that your child goes to school. To a certain point, a child that is going to primary school cannot be so resistant that you cannot force him or her to go to school. You have to make sure that they go to school. At least basic education. It's free. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. So you have to, and all you have to do maybe is buy uniform. Other than that, nothing. It's free. So that is the responsibility of every parent to make sure that their child go to school. So you cannot hold anybody responsible for that.
That was good. That was
a very good answer. Well, thank you, wonderful listeners, and those that are watching us on our Facebook page. Well, we're taking the first break.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته إخوة الكرام.
My name is Saffie Lowe. I'm the Gambian Ambassador to the Kingdom of Morocco.
Coucou GASAM.
Assalamu alaikum Boki Siran Kati.
Hi, this is Mamadou Sabali introducing to you
the GASAM Special Bantaba. Well, you'll be wondering there, what is GASAM Special Bantaba? It's a new project that is aimed at having a special talk show with very prominent Gambians, prominent African leaders that are all over the world. They have to share us with their stories, important things, interesting stories, success stories.
Programme non ko fi waluta go lady amedin no yara yeso fi menen kadi pe student ji wonbe ga Morocco no me wato walitrade lady amedin Gambia yara yeso.
غاسم بانتابا الذي سيكون في كل نهاية شهر مع أناس لهم خبرة في جميع فنون الحياة لتكون مثقفا. شارك معنا في كل نهاية شهر.
GASAM special Bantaba be molle fele na muyano ke banna society kono londe andum ye hakilo yiruwata andum fana ye kullon muyano ko folma manna society kono muyano ko kumata bake andu wol beba kachala je.
Un nouveau projet intitulé le Bantaba, ça sera chaque premier dimanche du mois sur notre page Facebook.
xamne waxtaan la boo xam ne dañoo invite borom na ba tànkay ñu ñëw toog ñu waxtaan ci demee ne ni ñoo jëmale Gambia ci kanam ni ñoo dimbale Africa pour ñu àgg ci beneen level.
GASAM believes that if Gambia su waree dem ci kanam ñun yëpp ñoo war a ñëw ñu ku nekk téye feere ñu pousse Gambia yëpp ko ci kanam, and we can only do that if we are inspired enough.
I am encouraging you to join this platform, like their page on Facebook, because I'll be one of their panelists and I'll be there supporting them.
I'm therefore urging every one of you not to miss it. Be a part of it.
Please go to our Facebook page, like GASAM, Gambian Students Association in Morocco, like our page. Wait for us to go live. Throw in your questions, comments, everything, and we shall deal with them.
تفقد هذا البرنامج فتفقد شيئا عظيما.
Woto iba dunia daoda bem GASAM yeno ti be mangi GASAM yeno bam akata nim programme kanida katungu fen jama leba discourse la je mulba kachala je andu yo fu mala ba
mooy weer bu dee la ñoo am panel kon bu leen ko mboote.
S'il vous plaît, ne le ratez pas.
Welcome back after a short commercial break.
Okay, now we going to the local language. Suma mbokki wala fi ñu leen dalal si Bantaba bi mooy GASAM special Bantaba bi. So tey nag lu ñu waxtaan mooy jàngi ndaw yi si génération bu nekk nii ak Her Excellency moom leen am fi nii moom moo ñoo waxal si jaar-jaaram yi nan la mën a booloo si jàngam bi si fu mu toll nii ñun ndaw yi la leen mën a jàngee si moom léegi madame ambassadeur soo ñu mënoon expliquer lan loo xam ne yow en tant que nekk jigéen si société bi jàng ba nga nekk léegi borom ndomba tànk si Gambie bi lan moo nekkoon sa njumtuwaay wala lii boo xam ne gàllankoor boo xam ne comme ni ñoo ko challenges boo xam ne fashion boo ko si sa carrière la sa time school bi.
jërëjëf si question boobu pour man gisuma woon dara as gàllankoor. su jega affaire gàllankoor yi jigéen ñi góor yi ñooy dañ bugg a tuuti jigéen yi loolu si man lu ees la growing up ñun xamuñu woon loolu growing up maybe suñu culture moo ñu jàngaloon ne góor moo dee jiitu jigéen toog waaye loolu taxul ne jigéen dafa war a na sax and te man nag wax dëgg yàlla nekkuma anti-feminist or something waaye loo xam ne lu mun a am la dama si dee ànd waaye loo xam ne lu mun a am la dama si dee sori because tubaab bi sax soo demee si ñoom nekk tubaab bi gatee xam nañ jox nañ jigéen ci lam yëpp waaye am nañ ñoo xam ne góor moo ko jiite góor du jigéen du ko jiite soo li ñoo ootee parité 50-50 nii loolu du mos a am xam naa su ko yeneen jigéen ñi dañu lay xeebu loo déggee nañ ma sib waaye lu mënut a am la lu mënut a am la xëy na suy am itam mu nekk suñu jamono mu nekk suñu jamono waaye man gàllankoor pour ne jigéen laa moo tax ma am ni déedéet déw ma through loolu xëy na soo ne gàllankoor mooy xëy na late start xëy na waroon nga dem high school at this time or this age nga dem ko later nga bokk a saraka class waaye all the time yaa ngi am encouragement from sa parents especially sa papa bi nga xam ne mooy di xelal bi famille moom gisul jigéen ak góor ñëpp equal opportunity la so one will grow up with that te su ma liggéey bi tam mosuma si am benn xam nga discrimination pour ne warloo ko def jigéen mosuma am façon situation boobu noonu so this is a new issue boo xam ne really people really have to think ñu xalaat bu baax a baax ndax li ñoo xeex lu mën a am
lu am solo lu am solo la
jërëjëf si sa askan boobu ok léegi ñu dem si topic bi comme moo nekk youth perspective on education in the 21st century su ma ko mën a weesu wala naka ko weesu mu nekk
gis-gisi xale yi si jàngi jamono
bi exactly so yow loo gisee topic bi daal yow noo gisee topic bi dese di topic as a whole ne question bi yow ak li ñu
waaw topic bu yaatu la ba soo ne perspective yaa ngi wax ku nekk nu mu gisee te ku nekk nu mu gisee dafa des yow kan nga am fan nga jógee naka lañ lay yaree naka nga di seetee naka nga di analyser te jàng bi nga xam ne it's just structure de formal jàng jàngi classroom jàng mun ngaa jàng si anam mu nekk mun ngaa jàng si ñi nga àndat mun ngaa jàng si ñi nga taseel mun ngaa jàng any situation boo nekk rek jàngat mun fa soo ne naka la youth si gisee jàngi time bi nekk ni da nga generalize youth si yëpp da nga specific youth si Africa as we mun Africa lañ ndax da nga just generalize su fekkee da nga generalize youth si yëpp am nañ pas-pas pour jàng waaye opportunity moo leen ko bëri soo ñu bëggee compter ak community si nekk Europe ak keneen ñi nekk yeneen dëkk comme ñu ñoo ooye third world developing countries ak fourth world bi benn ñu leen di dugg rek am amenity si seen disposal jàngal leen mais da nga war a jàng pour am dara xam nga ñu su fekkee da ngay draw sax ñu encourage la draw yi boobu daf lay indi xaalis ñun on the other hand wala exemple soo nekkutee di wet nga bugg a wóor bugg a sabar ñu ne dafa dellu gannaaw waaw ay na yow loolu nga bugg a tubaab lu xam su xale buggee daf danga koy encourage loolu nga nocce ko mu gën a développe mun nga dee évoluer xam nga mun a xam loolu bu baax a baax waaye bu ñu nekk ba lu ma la ne jàng privilège la woon léegi right la and to an extent is mandatory up to a certain level by force la pour nga dem school à certain level waaw mais tey tamit ñu ngi am problème am na ñoo xam ne seen doomu jigéen ñoom ñu dem school am gisuñu njëriñ bi jàng So exactly when you know me why ni ma wax moy janga comme formal janga structure janga la janga pour am knowledge pour am xam-xam muna topato xam luy xew ci aduna bi am sa classe propre ci aduna bi ci janga ko amé janga structure janga boobu dafa am hierarchy primary school nursery school primary school high school university beneen bi nga xam ne moom it's informal it's like mag yuy jàng amul sa resources yu bari te jàng boobu su demee si kanam ki koo jànga moo koo doole because yow yaa si am interest pour def beneen bi nga xam ne moom is non formal nga xam ne comme ñu wax turu li nga def ngay jàngee boobu tam mun fa waaye jàngi xale yi léegi jànga bi is more of technical nature is more commercial jànga technical jànga xam nga social so ñun suñ jànga yu doon jànga xam nga am na comme ay HR ak yooyu bépp HR is important ak so waaye you know jànga yi nga xam ne they are skill oriented moo gën a am doole léegi mooy jàngal wax than the other one of this 21st century so foog nga double effort nag to be counted among those that make a difference. And for us, African third world economic countries, the native because I'm to why. But muna def jàng boobu skills oriented mun see am ndam because am na level boy egga li nga soxla doo ko am ba pare am yeneen li nga xam ne tam nañ believe ne mun ngaa nekka nit te doo jàng nga am so you know if like this boy say them pathway but this now boy is why school sax di dem pathway pour lan quick fix bis lañ fa la lu nekk gaaw.
When somebody have everything that is desired for, like normally you have people that are born with silver spoons in their mouth, or somebody that is already your parents have money. Let's say for your case it was at least close to that your parents can provide you with everything. But nonetheless, you are still working hard. As you said, what motivates you was believing in yourself and valuing what you have than what any other person may give you outside what you have. So do you think that too affects education in another way around? Because there are a certain number of people that actually you have money, you're going traveling around, your parents are around, they give you everything you need. Do you think it affects our education system? Because I understand one thing here. I have to make this a bit longer. Now, you see normally, people who are well off, they say, well, my parents have this, my parent is this, my parent is this. You just content with that. Africans are easily content with what they have. But Bill Gates' son may actually be struggling going to school, make sure he passes all his grades to become the richest person in the world. But you rich in your country or in your society, you feel content.
What you just said is just amounts to being simple-minded. If your dad is the rich person, then because your dad has money, so you don't think you need to learn. What if your dad is no longer there? What if for whatever reason the business crashes? Where do you go? Those are the people, especially white people, that will commit suicide. Because they cannot cope. I've seen white people, rich people, they say their money, they're not going to leave for their kids. They're going to give away to charity, and the kids work for themselves. It's good. Everything is there, you work for yourself. You know? Because I don't understand, if you say my dad has money, so I'm not going to work. What is your aim in life? What are you hoping for tomorrow? What do you stand and say, this is mine, I work for this, I can contribute to this, I contributed to that. I believe that everybody will take pride to show something that they worked hard for. Because everything in life that is what you're doing, it's never easy. So no matter how rich your dad is, you should try and have something to your name. Because you have a saying in Wolof, don't sabay, don't sabay again.
Wow.
So there you go. I believe in people working for what they want. You have more blessing in that than just living off your parents. And every good parent will not even watch their kids do that. You train them to be responsible citizens. How do you be a responsible citizen? By working, contributing your quota to whatever is being done. At whatever level, no matter how small, make sure you contribute towards something. That's the only way.
That's the only way. Habib, how on that one?
Yes, that was the most important thing of answer that the one can give. So that's the goes back to the topic. That's the perspective of youth.
Yeah.
So it means we youth have to have the aim and to be taking responsibility, have the idea of despite who my parents are or where my family is from, I have to eat from my sweat. I have to eat from my knowledge or whatever I eat from. So that's really indeed important for us to learn. So moving on, for instance, going into before touching the digital world, you as a clear example, you touched the 20th century and then the 21st century. It means your schooling, you did your bachelor's in the 20th century and then you did your master's in 21st century. Understanding these two situations, what can you say about that? That's the type of learning and then the people, the mindset of people.
Well, we're not far from each other because then all the amenities that we have now, the laptops, and because I did my master's away, and there it's just like what you're going through now. You have lecturers. The master's is less intense than for first degree. At least you're focused. This is what I want to do. And then you have normal classes, but the rest of the classes is your own. You do your research, especially after you make a proposal. This is what I'm going to write, and it's okay, and you start working on it. You don't even normally go for regular classes. You just do your writing, you assign a supervisor, and then everything that you do before, it's okay. He has to see it and say change A or B, or it's okay, you can go ahead. So basically, it's the same. It's just that now. I, for myself, I learned to use the computer. You know, I have a big phobia for machines. Big phobia, so it was difficult. But when you're outside, you have to.
Of course, yeah.
You have to. Now kids this small can use laptops.
Yeah.
Then, if you don't force yourself, you cannot. I had a boss who didn't touch a machine. Everybody, you know what he calls his laptop? Bantaba. He gave his passport to everybody. Come and check for me whether I have mail. What did he say? So it's sometimes you have a fear in you for machine. That that's the advantage the 21st century have over the other century. So basically that's it.
And also another one, that is, what is personal development and what does it impact on one university like personal development? Because you're thinking about laptops now. So what if you develop yourself towards that standard? At least when you're from home, maybe what you're saying here might actually be happening in this 21st century. And people that are from, let's say you're from GASAM or you're from anywhere, I'm just trying to discriminate, but you don't have any IT class, you don't have a computer lab, you have a scholarship to come to Morocco here and study, or any other part of the world, whereby you have to use machines. You don't even know how to on or off a laptop. So what do you think of that personal development and what does it impact on?
Yeah, I think personal development for me, it's basically somebody looking at him or herself, know you have weaknesses in certain area, then you try as much as possible to address those. How do you address those? By talking to people that are better than you in those areas. I'll give you an example. My daughter, she has a weakness in maths. So one of her classmates is very good in maths. So they link up and have classes. What she doesn't understand, she explains. The other two come to her for areas that she doesn't understand, and they work together. And then here you are on your own, basically. And nobody to push you or tell you A, B, or C. But as a person, I'm weak in this, I need to try and come up stronger in this area. So you push yourself, you ask, you talk to people who are better off than you in that area. That's how you move. It's like when you're back home, you take everything for granted. Now there's nobody here to guide you and say you shouldn't do A or B. You know what you should do, you know what you shouldn't do. So this all goes towards personal development, developing yourself. So basically for me that's it.
Okay, now we come to the final stage of the show. That is the last question I have for you. Then we conclude. That is decision making, choices, and career counseling. Because you start talking about it, I said we're going to talk about it now. What is decision making, career choices, and counseling in this 21st century, and putting Morocco as a case study, for instance?
Well, that's an interesting question because back home, I'm not sure now whether the University of the Gambia has career counseling.
No.
Well, that's a difficult area.
Yeah.
So career counseling will be difficult. That is why people are just going on blindly, not knowing what to do. We have cases like that.
Yeah.
People opting to do something and come in here, find out they cannot, and they want to change. You know, so these are all problems for us.
Yeah.
So I think we will have been better off if we have a unit that is just responsible for advising students on what they need to focus on, what they need to do, you know, to help them, guide them in their decisions going forward. But then the other bit of the question is decision making. Decision making is not easy. I'll take this place as an example. Being the head here, the final decision rests on me. Being an ambassador, technically I'm answerable to the president as a representative of him to another country. But the way things are, just you know, sometimes confuses you. But there are certain decisions that you have to take. And what guides you? Generally, what I do, I have a team staff, 4. It's 3 of them and me 4. When it comes to a big decision that I have to do, I have to call them, consult them, ask their opinion. Whatever they say, I'll sum up that and then do the final one. Whether it's a good decision, it's mine. Whether it's a bad decision, it's mine. Sometimes you're guided by your instinct. This is what is happening, you have to do A or B. Sometimes you have it right, sometimes you don't. And be ready to take the blame. Being a leader and making decisions is not easy. But it's always good to consult the people that you're working with, get their feel, what they think should be done, weigh that against your own, and make a final one. And when it's good, we're all happy. When it's bad, you take the blame.
That was really
it was really good.
especially the part of consulting, especially when you're working with people. That's really important. You got to consult, especially like this stage he sees in. Whenever you're talking to, whenever you have decision making to make, it's to gather ideas from different perspective people. There you can sum up and then know, okay, let me take this and then the final bit that she made was taking blame. You as a leader too, you should be ready for that. If it's good, it's okay. If it's bad too, you have to accept that it's the blame, accepting blame. That's really important. So finally, I think you just conclude quickly on the Bantaba and then
so
your
in the conclusion, what would be your final words to Gazamians and to Gambians watching?
Well, my final words will be very short. I'm very happy and honored, like I said, to be the first guest on this platform, and I appreciate you choosing me. And this is an occasion that I will take to urge all Gambian students in Morocco that we are a small nation and we are one. No matter what we speak, where we are from, once you are a Gambian, you are a Gambian. The disadvantages, one of the disadvantages of educated people is that thinking that they have a right to say everything or anything and can do anything. One thing that we're missing, that once we miss that, we tell on us. Anywhere we go, when we open our mouth to speak, they will know where we come from. It is what we call in French, education de base. If you miss that one, it shows everywhere you go. You don't know how to talk to people. You don't have respect for anybody but yourself. You think you are everything. That is one bad attribute that anybody can have. And I've seen quite a number of people with that. Not here, back home, because when you read, you see what people are saying. Me, I believe you can say any grievance without being vulgar.
Of course.
Maybe this I got back home. My dad, a younger sister, or your younger brother, if they do anything to you, you have no right to beat them. If you do that, you will not do it again. He will call the small one to come and slap him. Say he has the right to beat and he doesn't beat, so nobody has the right to beat. If they do anything, go and report. Then he'll address. Nobody beats him. And you don't swear. Not when he's around. You don't swear at all. So when I see small people, people that have no bearing in society, insulting people that we look up to, it gets me scared.
Of course, yeah, it is.
It makes me scared. And these are things that we grow up with. If your dad sits down and you swear, you can go and swear in somebody else's home when their dad is sitting down. So these are things that defines us. These are things that we carry with us wherever we go. And I'm very happy that I've seen something with you students. You're all together all the time. You know, nobody asked you to do this. These are all things that you came up with, at least to make good use of your time. And these are things that can grow and be something else besides what you're learning. So your time is not wasted. And I urge you to keep that. I urge you to keep that. I'm very proud of you, definitely. I'm very happy.
Anyway, thank you. That is it.
So thank you so much, viewers, and then please, the bye-bye from that.
Bye from our end, and see you on the next episode of the special Bantaba. Please, if you don't like our page, do it right now. We urge all of you to go and like our page, and sponsors are also invited. Thank you.